species that had been dismissed, erased, buried under 1,000 years of silence, had never truly gone. They had waited. Why? None could answer. Some claimed it was insurance, a failsafe in case humanity fell. Others said it was arrogance, the belief that their fleets would outlast their civilization itself. But among the frightened whispers, one truth cut deeper than any speculation. If these ships, buried and forgotten, could still rise with such terrible strength, then what else had humanity left behind? What caches, what arsenals, what sleeping storms waited in the cold dark? The council convened emergency sessions, arguing whether to seek peace or prepare for war. But in every chamber the same dread echoed. The Terran engines had roared again. And when humanity's ghosts could still shake the galaxy after 1,000 years, the living, if any remained, would be far worse. The silence no longer. In the sectors around Orion, stars burned dimmer under the shadow of Terran steel. Their formations moved with patience, never straying beyond certain boundaries. They did not expand, nor chase the aliens who fled. They simply held position, vast, immovable, eternal. A warning, a promise, a presence. The galaxy could not look away. Every signal was recorded, every maneuver analyzed, but the message remained the same. Humanity had not vanished. It had not surrendered to time. It had endured. And though no human voice spoke, the fleets themselves carried the message louder than any word. We are not gone, we are not weak, we are waiting. So the stars whispered their dread, and the council's halls filled with silence. For if this was only one forgotten arsenal, one fragment of humanity's legacy, then the question grew unbearable. What storms had humanity left buried in the void? And when would the rest awaken? The galaxy is built on memory, on stories passed down, records preserved, and archives carved into the stone of time. And in those records, there is a people who once walked among the stars, fierce and restless. Humanity. But to us, the Korathi, their story is nothing more than dust. Our scholars note their rise, their frantic wars, their sudden brilliance as they flared across the spiral arms. And then silence. No treaties, no ambassadors, no fleets on the borders. Humanity simply vanished. 1,000 years have passed since their name carried weight. Children in our academies are taught that humanity was a paradox, too violent to endure, too reckless to last. Their world burned, their colonies abandoned, their fleets shattered in wars they could not win. What remained of them was scattered ash, their technology hopelessly outdated, their culture dissolved into myth. So we believed. And yet, history has a way of whispering back. Whispers in the dark void. The first reports came from fringe explorers, mapping forgotten sectors at the edge of Terran space. Ghost signals, low-frequency bursts repeating across dead channels. Nothing unusual, said the analysts. The galaxy is full of static, derelicts, and the wreckage of old wars. But the signals didn't fade. They grew stronger, patterned, almost like heartbeat pulses. Scans revealed massive metallic shadows hanging in the void, drifting inside the accretion haze of a brown dwarf system, a graveyard of ships. Our admirals laughed at the thought. Relics, they said, scrap metal locked in orbit for millennia, nothing more. Expeditions were dispatched not with warships but with research drones. They returned shaky images, hulls scarred black, angular designs too sharp to be anything but Terran, hundreds of them, thousands. It should have ended there, a curiosity for museums. But then came the second discovery: the ships were not lifeless. The pulse of forgotten engines. At first it was a tremor, Our probes captured faint emissions, thermal fluctuations in the hull plating, too regular to be natural, too precise. Old reactors, long thought dead, were stirring. Weeks later, an entire station buried beneath the wreckage blinked online, ancient transponders screaming into the void with codes none of our decoders could break. The graveyard wasn't drifting. It was listening. Our fleet councils convened in secret. The word danger was whispered, though few truly believed it. How could these rusting hulks, 1,000 years abandoned, pose any threat to the modern galaxy? Our ships leapt across stars with ease, wielding weaponry undreamed of by those primitives. Humanity was a fossil, a memory. And then the graveyard woke. The awakening of steel. It began with a single cruiser, its armor older than any living empire, trembled. Its running lights flickered once, twice, then blazed to life in cold white brilliance. Engines groaned, fire ignited, and with a shudder that echoed across the void, the cruiser turned its nose toward the stars. The others followed. One by one, the titans of the Terran fleet roared awake. Carriers kilometers long, battleships bristling with forgotten firepower, destroyers slipping from the shadows like wolves from their dens. The void filled with the thunder of resurgent engines, soundless in space yet deafening in the minds of all who watched. Transmissions flooded the ether, ancient codes, old but still valid. Firewalls shattered before them. Star charts lit with pathways locked for centuries. The ruins had never been ruins. They were guardians in slumber, obeying orders written by hands long turned to dust. Humanity had not died. Humanity had waited. The sky torn open. The Korathi Council dispatched a fleet of observers, 100 modern ships to contain what we believed was nothing more than a malfunctioning relic. We approached cautiously, weapons charged but not raised. The Terran response was merciless. Without warning, the human fleet moved as one, formations locked into place with machine precision. Engines flared, and suddenly the sky was a web of maneuvers so sharp our captains could not follow. Our targeting system stuttered, jammed by codes older than our civilization itself. Then came the fire. Not beams, not plasma, not the neat precision of modern arms, but mass drivers, coil cannons, rail slugs that burned brighter than suns as they tore across the void. Kinetic fury unleashed by vessels we thought obsolete. One shot, one kill. Our ships blossomed into debris clouds, scattered like insects before a storm. In hours, the 100-strong fleet was nothing but wreckage. The human ships had taken no losses, not one. Legends made flesh. The galaxy panicked. Every channel buzzed with the impossible news. The Terran fleet lives. Across the stars, children whispered of Earth's return. Merchants altered their routes to avoid the old borders of Sol. Military councils convened in fear, not of what had happened, but of what it meant. If these were only remnants, what else had humanity hidden? What we thought was a graveyard was an arsenal. What we thought was silence was patience. 1,000 years buried, and yet the engines roared with a fury greater than before. And in their wake came the most chilling realization. These ships were not acting without purpose. Their vectors aligned, their jumps coordinated, all flowing toward a single star. Sol, Earth itself. The return to the cradle. The galaxy watched in silence as the fleet gathered, thousands of ships forming a storm around their birthplace. Ancient transmitters on Earth pulsed, answering the call of their steel children. Cities long abandoned flickered to life. Beacons blazed across the system. We listened, we decoded, and the message was simple. Terran Defense Initiative, active, awaiting command. The humans themselves, where were they? Were they extinct, their fleets guided only by machine ghosts? Or had they burrowed deeper still, hidden away, watching us through the centuries? No one knew. No one dared to find out. Because whether flesh or phantom, the truth was undeniable. Humanity was not gone. It was waiting. The dread of the living past. Now the galaxy trembles. Our fleets, built in arrogance, seem fragile compared to the iron phantoms of Saul. Every admiral wonders if their weapons, their shields, their proud war doctrines could withstand the wrath of a species that built storms and buried them for millennia. Whispers spread like wildfire. What if this fleet is only one? What if other graveyards lie scattered in forgotten systems, waiting to rise? What if every silence we trusted hides another army beneath it? We used to mock humanity as reckless, but now we see the truth. They are not reckless. They are architects of terror, engineers of eternity. They do not discard their fleets. They preserve them, seal them away in tombs of silence, ready to return when needed. And if this is what they left behind, forgotten and buried, then what of the arsenals they still guard? A storm that never died. 1,000 years buried, 1,000 years of silence, and then the engines roared. The galaxy has learned its lesson. Humanity does not vanish. Humanity does not surrender to time. They linger, patient, waiting in the dark. We stare into the void and wonder, was this their plan all along? To let us forget, to let us grow complacent until their storm rose once more. The truth does not matter. What matters is this: the stars are no longer safe and the graveyards are no longer silent. For humanity has returned, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as the eternal storm that sleeps, then awakens. And now we live in their shadow, waiting for the next roar.